All right. So just a quick question, David. I'm just doing some analysis on the chart. Am I doing,
Yeah.
what else am I doing? Am I taking questions?
Yeah.
Or like if
So
people have specific things they want to look at?
um, yeah, so everyone can enter symbols or questions for Casey, and yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you'll probably get a bunch of questions, but if you have anything, you want to look at first that
All
you're
right.
watching
Yeah.
in the market,
Yeah. Okay.
that'd be
Yeah.
great.
So I'll go over a couple things and then I will take some requests. So I'm going to start with Tesla. They had some big news yesterday with their earnings was down. You can see here, let's zoom up a little bit. You can see here we're inside of a wedge. Okay. And this particular wedge is just been, it's getting smaller and smaller, right? So you notice there's a big swing down here and another swing, and then now we'll see where this actually lands. But when it starts to contract like this, it begins to wind up, and then price is then looking to make a break. Okay. And when it breaks out, that's where you can get some really, really good trades. So let's take a look over here. Okay. And this was a trade that I had participated in and was a fantastic trade, where if we just draw the trend line here, you can see we've got a wedge pattern forming, very similar to the one that we currently have, right? And you see we got the break up, we get the pattern, and then what happened when that thing broke, right? And a lot of stocks will do this a lot, but this Tesla is very well known for this. I can actually go and show a couple other examples here. Tesla has done this many times, and when I see it beginning to develop, I get extremely excited because it's usually a fantastic setup. The absolute best trade of my entire career was on this setup. And so usually if I'm doing a presentation like this, I like to discuss it because it's got a lot of potential. So right now you're noticing that it's RSI's at 30, which is significant, signifies overbought or oversold. And in this area, I think that we could get a bounce here. So a potential buy trade could come up off the bottom of this. If we get here, we get a candlestick pattern and a bounce. That might be a buy. We're looking around the maybe 200 or so, 210. Now you'll notice you see this pattern right here where it went down, and this was a big gap up. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a gap, but this one was a gap, and then it took off for quite some time. It was a pretty nice gap from 220 up to 276. Okay, so that's a potential trade, but it's not, obviously not the highest quality. I like to really try to be patient for the high quality, because if we go down here and we get a bounce, we might get a nice move from 220 up into this trend line, which is 250. So it's still $20, a $20, $25 move, but it's not the big one, right? Because this move here was 188 to 301. That's a $120 move. That's a monster move. Okay. So let's just take a look at a couple other monster moves. So you can see we had this one here. We've got this one developing. So just from being here and watching this presentation, it gives you something to put on your watch list. And that's really what I recommend doing, getting on the watch list, checking out your trades on a daily basis, and just being patient for your setup. What's cool about trading like this is if you're using a daily chart, is you don't really have to trade a lot. I mean, I like to sometimes sit down and do some day trading, but I don't do it all the time. But what I usually do almost every day is go through and look at the daily chart, watch my watch list, because I can consistently go through, find good setups, get them into a pattern, And when they trigger, a great trade happens, especially if you got some really good stocks, right? I like to filter with some really good stocks. I like to look at growth companies that are growing. So I run some scanners that will show companies that are growing, year over year growth, or some good consistent growth. I like to see earnings growth. Now, Tesla, the reason it dropped yesterday is because the earnings growth had slowed down. So they had increased their year over year revenue, but their earnings growth slowed down. And so they're making more money, right? They're collecting revenue, means they're collecting more money, but they didn't have as much bottom line profit. Once they take all of the expenses out of the equation, their profit was lower. And the reason that happened was because they lowered the price of their vehicles. So they sold more vehicles and made more money, but the bottom line was tighter. Okay. So with that being said, it's still a great company, but you can't ever trade based off of fundamentals. You can't ever trade based off of a great stock that's growing, because the more growth that a stock has, the more volatility that it's going to have, which means it's going to jump up and have some huge drops, and you're going to see a lot of crazy things happen with growth stocks. And so if you think, oh, this company's great, I believe in it, and you make a trade based on that, you're more than likely going to lose. You have to have good timing in place. And, the way that I do that is I use chart patterns and technical analysis, and I enter the trades with a pretty tight stop, looking for a big breakout. Because if you just try to time it like Tesla, if you're trying to time this thing, you would have got burnt. I actually know quite a few traders that were trying to time Tesla, and it went all the way down to $100 right here. It looks like it's at 101. And so they closed it because there was just too much pain involved. So I wanted to go back in time here a little bit and show you one of my best trades using the very same, and I'm not going to be on Tesla long, but much longer. But here's another one, right? This one happened right here. And this was actually the best trade I ever made right here. And so I still remember it. I had this triangle in place, same triangle we're looking at right now. And when it broke out, it just really took off. Okay. And you can just see the move. This move is at a 146 up to 300. And so the price doubled, okay, in a pretty short period of time. And you'll get those a lot. Here was another one too. Let me zoom up on this one. So just be aware of these. And I'm not like saying that I only trade these type of patterns, but this is definitely one that I look at. And I've been very successful with this pattern. So you can see this one breaking out to another really good trade. This one went from 102 up to 170. So just trying to find those. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because we're in the wind up phase right now. So that means there's a massive opportunity for traders. And one last thing I wanted to show was this last big down triangle. See how steep this down move was? Right here was a really big, down channel. And then when it broke out the top of the channel was a great trade. So, so you'll notice that if this current position doesn't hold here, if this triangle, I'm not saying that it is, because I can't predict what's going to happen. I have no idea what the future holds, but I am going to say that if this doesn't hold, the next place I would be looking would be maybe along this channel. This is a pretty big channel, but it could come back down off the bottom here. And if it doesn't bounce here and it breaks down lower, I'd be looking to buy down at the bottom of this channel as well. Okay, so that's my Tesla. I think it's a great opportunity. I really like trading this stock a lot. It's still my most profitable. All right, now I saw that that gold was on the list. That was the first one I saw. So don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of them because there's quite a few, but Wayne asked for gold, and I'm more than happy to go to gold because I just had one of my best trades. I just talked about my best trade in Tesla, but gold just crushed it for me. And for the people that were on my list, they saw that I posted a video about gold, and the very next day the thing took off. And so let me show you what I did, and I'll tell you what I think it's going to do next. So I don't know. Let's get that, remove that line. I don't know where that one came from. Okay. So this is gold, and we had recently a downward move, and there was this channel right here in gold. And you can see there's the channel, right? Very similar to that channel that I was discussing. And you'll notice that the RSI was down to about 19. And we also had a support level. Okay, so you see that we have quite a few different things working in our favor here, right? I like to try to kind of look at different opportunities. I find multiple points of interest to start targeting a trade. And what had happened was that gold moved down here, and it started to pause, and then we had a breakout candle. And so this is a really important candle. This is a very important candle because you'll notice something about this candle. And this is a daily. You'll notice that this candle went through and it broke the lows down at the bottom, and it cleared the highs of the previous 3 candles. Okay, so this is a bullish engulfing candle. And what is happening in here is there's a lot of buyers and sellers, and buyers are starting to load up, but then people were also shorting gold. And so when it broke this support level, it was able to draw in a lot more sellers. And so when you see a big candle that closes out and goes all the way below the lows and then all the way behind the highs, is it's flushing out a lot of different people. It's flushing out all the buyers, like people were buying and then it decided to go low, so then they close, and then there are people are selling short. It pushes them out, and it just kind of flushes all the orders, and then it will push up to the next level. Okay. And so that's what happened. And so when we had all of that happening, we got the RSI, we've got the price action, beautiful candlestick. We've got it hitting the bottom of the trend line and it's at the channel, and it's bouncing off of a very key support level, which was down here. So we just had a lot of things happening, and that made a really good setup for gold. Now, here's the thing that I did not know. I realized that gold had a very high probability of. I realized that it had a high probability of going up, of bouncing. I really did. However, what I didn't know is how far it was going to go. As a matter of fact, my targeting was way off because I was just targeting. I had a really good trade, but I did not get hardly as much as I could have because I had a take profit. It hit the take profit and it kept on going. And so what I've been able to do, and I'll just show you, is because this has been moving so good, and now we broke out here. You see it went right up in here, it paused, and then it took off. Now that it broke out, that is a really signification to me that we could be getting a new uptrend. Now, you know, this is right up here near all-time highs, and it tried all-time highs once, and it tried it twice, and it couldn't break it. And so I'm thinking that we're going to try a third time, and maybe third time's the charm, right? And if it breaks that, that could be significant. I mean, that's just, we're at the all-time high here. That's a significant, I think it's the all-time high. I got to go back further. Oh, look, let's go back close to the all-time high. We got, yeah, there it is. Look at that. Actually, I said twice. I actually meant 3 times. I meant 3. It's tried 3 times. So if it goes one more time, you know, the more times that a line gets tested, the better, the more powerful the breakthrough will be. Okay, because it was hard to break. And so it's going to take a lot of buyers to break that. I'm going to switch this over to a weekly just to get a better look at it. Okay. Okay, yeah. So look at what we have here on a weekly. Okay, just take a look. Oh man, this is so, like, whoever told me to look at gold, I'm just so happy. This is a sweet pattern because we have a trailing trend line right here. You know, it's got a little deal going. And if this thing breaks, it's going to be a big deal, right? That's going to be a big trade. Gold has got such a long history of making new highs and just continuing. Right here, it was at 1700 in 2012, but then, you know, it's been down for several years. But once this goes up above this level, and I'm not saying for sure it will, but if it does, it could be holding that 2000 level for years. And who knows, it may never come back down there because gold has historically moved up against the dollar. So really strong opportunity here. But right now, I was going to tell you what I was doing with this, what I have done, and it's been just fantastic. So I hit my first target and I got out way too early. I got out in it right up here. So this was my entry, my initial entry, around 1820. And around 1830, and I wrote it up to about 1860. So I made about $30 on it right in here. But then every time it would pull back, I would get in again. So I got in right here, got a really nice trade, and then it pulled back again and then got in again. And you just see how many different opportunities. Okay, really nice move. Okay, I'm getting in again. Okay, and then even today, I got in and got another really nice trade on it. So when you have a strong trend like this, you just keep trading it until it stops working. Somebody will be like, oh man, we're overbought, we're oversold. You know, if you feel a really strong resistance area coming and you don't want to take the trade, then don't do it. But if you wait for a pullback and you know there's a strong resistance area, there's still you got to make sure you have a good risk to reward ratio, at least a 1-to-1. But I'm more of the belief system. If something is working, just keep doing it until it stops. Like I'm willing right now to buy on those pullbacks that I just showed over and over and over again up until I get to this level. Okay, I will continue to do that until I get up to 250. And then if it breaks that 2062, if it breaks it, then I'm going to be a really big believer in the bull run. Some of these bull moves go for years and years and years, and you can literally trade the same thing for years. And now the last time I did this presentation, and I didn't do it on gold, I did it on something else. I can't remember what it was, but the person was like, well, yeah, that's easy to see in hindsight. Yeah, thanks for cherry picking. And they didn't use it in that voice because it was a chat comment, but that's how I hear it in my head. So I'm not ridiculing people for leaving questions, because it's great to ask questions, but the way the question was asked is kind of like, oh, you're cherry picking. Even I can do that. But the thing is, you just don't know how long these things are going to go. So while it's continuing to work, you just keep doing it. right? You just keep doing it. Just like if we look at, you know, if I get to the S&P 500 chart, there's just so many different opportunities to trade that over and over again. And so I'm going to throw in a link to, just because wasn't even going to mention gold, but since it was asked, I want to throw in a link in here. This is the YouTube video I posted, and it's called 3 Reasons to Buy Gold, and you can see the price. You can see, so I'm not like making it up that I made this trade. I actually really did. And I posted the video here before it actually even triggered. And so I'm going to throw that link in there for those of you that are curious about watching that later, if you want. But yeah, so anyways, okay, so let's go back to the chat. That's it for gold. I think we're probably going to get up here. It was a pretty clean break. I don't know. We probably will definitely have pullbacks along the way. I don't know. We might come back to 19, might come back. I mean, nothing ever moves straight. Today was pretty wild with some of the Fed moves, you know, interest rates and all that. So that pushed the price up. Okay, so let's go back and see what else we got. Doug says 2,200. So Doug, you know what? You hold that thing, or you just keep buying, right? You keep buying over and over and over again every time you get a tiny little pullback, right? The thing can pay out. You know, you buy and hold, or you just pay out, take your daily gold payday as long as that thing keeps going up. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm just going to take these in order. So DJ did Baba. So let's go ahead and take a look at Baba. And, you know, some of these companies I'm not real familiar with, so it might be a little different. So Alibaba, I have traded this before, but it's been a long time. But what I will first of all say is that it is very sideways, but it's very gappy too. Very gappy, and there has been some big moves in the past, but not in a while, right? So right here was 57 all the way up to 120. So that's the type of move we'd love to be able to find. You get in there and you just take that thing and ride it up. But so right now, what do we have here? We've got a really sweet looking, a very sweet looking trend line. Okay. I love looking at trend lines like that. And what else do we have? Well, we have a triangle. Okay. And it's at the bottom right now. So what does that mean? Well, there's another line here too. So if it breaks down the bottom, you know, look for it to go to 77. I would personally be waiting for this to break out of the top. I mean, it's that simple to me. And when it breaks, I would just follow this thing up and try to get a minimum of a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, or maybe just trail it, because you can see some of the breakouts that there have been in the past have been pretty significant. But it's winding up. The RSI is just kind of flat here. And we've got a really big move that could be potentially coming on this. So very nice looking wedge, which is what I like to see. So yeah, that's Baba. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at Baidu. And this thing, wow. This thing is getting absolutely crushed. I don't know what Baidu is. I have no idea. But right now, it's getting absolutely crushed. So one thing that I will mention this when I talked about the Baba on the last chart, I really do like to find more bullish stocks that are trending. And so right now, nothing wrong with trading something like this. You know, we got a downward move, but ideally, I would look for it to break above here and then start beginning to make uptrends. You can always do the bottom picking trades, and those do work, but I have found that I get more bang for my buck if I can catch something that is trending and is pullback. Kind of like what I just talked about with gold. You know, Gold is really strong right now. So anytime you get pullbacks on that, that strength is just, it just works in your favor so well. You wait for a pullback, and when that pullback happens, you get in the trade, you get a really nice tight stop loss, you get a really good risk to reward. And the thing about doing those kind of trades is you get a really good winning percentage as well. So in this particular scenario, when you get a move down like this, you usually will see consolidation before it recovers. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about consolidation, which is really what a wedge is, but this is a different type of consolidation. So let's look at this last down move. So right here, we got a big down move. You see that? Right here, big down move. Okay, we're going to cover that. So we went from 160 to 116. Big move down. You look, the RSI, it's 25. So, you know, when you get a move like that, you're like, okay, I think this thing's going to break to the upside. Now, you don't need to ever be in a hurry for this. I mean, sometimes you need to be in a hurry, but I'm never in a hurry, ever. I just don't believe in doing things in a hurry. Because look, it takes consolidation. It takes time for the orders to accumulate. It takes time for buyers and sellers to come in. And usually when you get a bounce, you're going to get a sideways movement with up and down before you get your bounce. And so that's what we had here. You could have maybe taken a nice small trade, possibly from 117 to 130, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can see that it just kept consolidating. And then finally, when you got the breakout, it made a, and these aren't great moves by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just using this as an example. When you have a downward movement, you will usually see some consolidation before the breakout. And same thing if you're looking at an uptrend, right? Here's an uptrend, the price, you're just bouncing on the uptrend. See that consolidation? Just look for a pattern of consolidation for your trade. And here's one of the things that I really work hard on is I try to not buy or sell during a consolidation period, right? I try to wait until the price breaks out, because when you're in a consolidation, you know the price is going to, one of the things you can absolutely guarantee is that price is going to break out, but you don't have any control over which direction it is. And we don't control anything in the market anyways. We take the trade. The only thing we can control is when to enter, how much we risk, and how to get out. That's it. Once the trade is on, it's on. You don't control the market, but you do know that when it's consolidating, it's either going to go up or down. It's going to break out of that consolidation range. I would rather wait for it to break out. And I used to buy them as they're dropping, but I have learned from doing this is that if you wait for the breakout to happen, your probability increases a great deal. So if I was going to trade this, I would wait for this thing to slow down. You know, we're looking at a 22 on the RSI, so I'm thinking it's going to slow down pretty soon. Let's take a look at support levels here. Right, so we're at a support level. Not sure if that's going to hold. If not, there's a support level over here. So one of these levels will hold eventually. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to trade it until I get some consolidation. So I'm looking for sideways choppy price action, and then look for a candlestick pattern to break out of the consolidation range. You know, you've heard the saying, I'm sure you've all heard it, never catch a falling knife. I do try to follow that. Because I found that it increases my probability a good bit on my trades. So that is Baidu. Okay, let's take a look at ASMB, Assembly Biosciences. Okay, so now this type of stuff I don't ever trade. I don't know anything about this, but this is just too, I would not trade this. You see, look at this. This is from April 23rd to August is just literally chop, junky price action. There's nothing going on here. The price is at 98 cents. The price is 98 cents. So that tells me that it's probably not a great company. And there's not a lot going on. There might have been a news announcement here to spike this up. You know, maybe what they call a pump and dump. I don't know, but I would not mess with ASMB at all. Okay. TLT. All right. TLT, Treasury bonds. And so we all know that the bonds have not been performing very well, right? They've been pretty beat up. And so while the trend is down, I'm staying away from these as well. But you can see there could be an opportunity. There could be an opportunity. And, you know, I don't do too much fundamentals. I did mention that I like to find good companies that are growing. That's a fundamental. So there are fundamentals are important, but the reason I don't do them is because they're not, or I don't really get too worked up over them or rely on them, is because they don't help with the timing. It's the technical analysis that's really critical. So right now, there's a lot of reasons why these treasuries are down, interest rates, and different economic factors are causing these treasury bonds to go down. But you can see the trend is very bearish. And so the way that I would trade this is I'm waiting patiently. You can see we bounced off the level. I'm just waiting for the breakout of this top channel. Okay. I'm waiting for this channel to, for price to come back. Maybe it'll do one of these, and then we do something like that. Okay. So that is really what I'm looking for on the I'm looking for that breakout to happen, right? So all right, so TLT, that's what I'm looking at. Okay, we got an S&P. S&P 500. Let's go back. Oops. All right. All right, so we're going to take a look at the SPY, the SPY, which is the SP 500 ETF. So this is the daily chart. Let's go back. I like to look at things on a higher time frame. I like to do a top-down analysis. So you can see I had already done this. And, this is one of those things that you can trade that works just like I was talking about with gold and Tesla. So it's really a preferred thing to trade. When you got a big up move here, and then a pullback, and then a breakout, right? So when you get those types of things, it's very simple to just keep following the trend as long as it works. So you can see this trend just keeps happening over and over. And what's interesting about the S&P is the moves get bigger and bigger. In 2018, we had a big move up, a really strong pullback, the wedge formed, and then a break, right? And then it did it again. Broke down, this time in new lows, bear market's coming, everyone was saying. And then boom, big move, right? We went from 237, new highs, 339, right? We're looking at a $100 move. Okay, same thing here. We're at 335. The end of the world's happening. This was COVID. Look out. And we got the big, this move is a monster. 220 to 477, right? Huge. Okay, and even along the way, there's been pretty nice pullbacks, pullback, just a lot of really strong pullbacks and opportunity to get in. Well, then we had last year, we had a really down market last year. Price just kept moving up and down, kept moving lower till we finally hit at 347. Okay. And so if we, we look at this big move, we go to 218 all the way up to 479. That is a big move. Okay. And so if we draw a fib on there, right, from the swing high, swing low to swing high, you can see it was a pretty decent retracement, almost a 50%. Looks like almost a 50% retracement. So when you see that on the Fibonacci, you know that you got a very big opportunity of just hitting those pullbacks. This thing is just, will this go on forever? No. No, it won't. This won't work forever. It's worked for a long time. This strategy has worked for a long time. So I'm going to keep doing it until it works. Eventually, things will change, but I don't know when that'll be. But right now, it's working. So currently, we had a big breakout here, so I was long here. But now, what's interesting is that it did not make a new high, but is it getting ready to make its next move? So I'm going to zoom up right here. I'm going to zoom up here. And you're going to see here that we have a little flag, right? It looks kind of almost like a little animal. If we drew like that, like maybe, I don't know, a dog or something. A horse. You can see we got the body here, the neck, or you can go with the classical flag pattern, whatever you want to do. But you can see the pattern is developing. So what's going to happen here? I don't know. But what I'm looking for this to break out the top and then to take out some new highs. Okay. And so that would be really good, because if we do, just like I said with gold, we could see, when we took out the new highs in 2020, it took out new highs right here, and it went from 341 up to 480. Okay, so if we take out 480, where are we going to go? We're going to go to 600? I don't know, but it would be worth watching that trade and maybe possibly getting that move from 420 to 600. So I'm watching this. If the bottom, we've got a really nice area right here of support. I am probably going to be looking for this area to get taken out, or not to get taken out, to get hit. Looking for it to get hit. The way that I'm trying to trade this is looking for this to get hit. I'm probably going to go long right here. And if I can catch a bounce off of this level, 420 level, great level to catch a bounce and then hopefully break out the top. If you can catch it at 420, ride that thing up to the 480 highs and then beyond, would be a really great opportunity. Do I know if that's going to happen for sure? Of course I don't. That's the thing about trading. It's all about probabilities. Okay, so these chart patterns and technical analysis give you probabilities. You have to trade according to the probabilities and use that to help you grow your profits, right? And so really, it's understanding how the patterns work and then understanding yourself on how to make sure that you can apply discipline, right? And I hate using that word because it's so ugly, discipline, the D word. It's just no fun. But I know that me personally, have a hard time sticking with things, right? I love following the rules until I don't, and then I want to try something new. Okay, so I know for me personally, it's very challenging because I'm always running around and doing new things. And instead of sticking with one thing, working it until it becomes extremely successful, which is really the key to success. And I know personally I have had trouble with that. Okay, FTSE. I don't know if I can't seem to find that chart, so I'm not going to look at that one. Let's look at CMD. CMND. Clearmind. Okay, yeah, this is insane. I don't know why Bill asked about this. I can't, it's just, I don't even know how you found this chart. How did you find this chart? This thing is 15 cents and it has not moved. Can I pull up a volume on this? Where's a volume, man? Wow. That's just nuts. I don't know how to do volume on these charts, but there's no, I can't imagine anyone trading this. There's not much happening here. So, yeah, this is crazy. Okay. Yeah. There's just no price action, no movement, no volume. It's 15 cents. I would not mess around with this. If it's, but let me just tell you this. Okay. If this is something that you got from a hot tip, do your research, call the CEO, find out how much money they're making. You know, like, are they coming out with a new product and it's going to create revenues? And, you know, there could be some viability to it, but not with charts. Charts will, there's no reason to trade these with charts. Let's take a look at the next one, sound. Okay, and this one's the same one, same way. This is an AI. It says AI, so that, if that's what that means, is this, let's go to a daily chart. This one's a little bit more, got a little bit more action to it, but you'll see that it's still pretty low in the price point. There is definitely some opportunity here, because if you look at it, it's $1 and you take it up to almost $5, right? Yeah, it went up from $1. So that's a really high return on investment. So there's been a high return on investment, but there's also been a high loss rate, right? So you're right here. If you got in at $5 and you're stuck on this all the way down to $1.61, you've lost a ton of money. So when you're dealing with a stock like that, you know, you got to manage your risk. If you want to try to take it, put a tight stop on it and let it ride up, you can 5x your money. Great. But, you know, be very familiar with it. Understand what is the business. I don't, like I said, I don't do a ton of fundamental, but I would at least want to see that they're making money, right? Make sure they're at least making money. Okay. All right. So a couple questions here. William said, would I buy a strangle on Tesla? You know, I don't really know how a strangle works. The only type of real options I do is like a covered call or a, I'll buy, I can buy puts or sell puts, but I don't know what a strangle is. Okay. So let's take a look at ZS. All right, so ZS, this is looking good. So what I like about this is we just recently, and I mean really recent, this is a beautiful stock because we just hit a new high. And you'll notice that we were down in this trough for a long time, and now we hit a new high, and now we're consolidating. Okay, so where was the last time we were at this price? Was all the way over here. So we're looking at a 52-week high, because this date is October 10th. Yeah. So we just made we're at a new 52-week high because this was October 10th. And right here was October 9th. So it took about a year to make that new high, but we're breaking out. And so there's consolidation pattern, which I like. So if it retests this level, 160, you know, 169, 168, if it retests here and then continues to consolidate, watch for a breakout to the upside. So you can maybe find a bullish engulfing candle to take this level out And if it does, you know, you got a $10 shelf here. You could put your stop loss below this shelf at around 165 and see if you could come back up and take some of these old highs. There's a lot of upside potential on this stock. We got a nice little uptrend happening for the last 6 months. So yeah, there's definitely some opportunity there. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we got anyone else, any more to look at? While you're putting them in the chat, I'm gonna just put some that I've been looking at. Let's take a look at I'm gonna look at Dollar General. Okay. And you know, this is one that's been beat up quite a bit. You can see it's really bad. I mean, it's really ugly. But I kind of like them. There's a lot to talk about with Dollar General. And so, you know, sometimes they say to trade stuff, you know, right? And so I know that where I live, they recently opened up a new Dollar General, brand new, and they built the thing so fast. Like, I mean, we're talking like a mile from my house, and they built it so fast. Like, I looked at it and it was being built, and then the next time I drove by, it was finished. And I was like, wow, they figured out how to do that quickly. And the store was, you know, I used to hate Dollar General because it's messy, the ones that I was in, and they were just nasty, messy. I could never find anything. Well, these new ones are like clean, well organized, and everything's self-checkout. And there's like one employee in the store and everything's self-checkout. I'm like, man, this is it's like really nice. And so I was like, I'm going to check them out. And so I noticed that they'd expanded a lot, and they, you know, some of the sales have gone down. So this might be bad for a while, but if we do get a break to the upside, it could be a great move. Because look, they're growing revenues, they're growing stores, and there's obviously the risk of being overextended. And I'm just talking about strategy. So fundamentals is what I'm talking about. But technicals, if we go to a weekly chart, you're going to see really, really strong uptrend. And we have a massive pullback, right? This is massive. And so there's definitely something wrong. Some of the revenues have dropped. They're having a little bit of problems internally, but I personally like what I saw. And so, you know, I like to see things in real life. I'm like, you know what, if I get a bounce here, I'm going to be looking at trading this. And so what did I say before? I said, we're looking for a consolidation. Okay. So we're way over. This is in value territory. And if they can pull out of it and they continue to grow, they're actually profitable. They're not losing money. They're growing. You know, if they can pull out, and then it's good. So what am I going to be looking for? So we have a consolidation. Remember I said that? We had consolidation down here, and now we had a nice break to the upside. And so price moved up. And so is this trend going to continue? It's very possible, right? It's very possible that it does, but I don't know what's going to happen. But what I'll be looking at is for price to come back, consolidate around here, and then it'll either go up, down through, make some new lows, or it'll break up and begin to build up a nice new uptrend. And so, you know, when you find these stocks like this, you can see that the RSI's bounced quite a bit. It was down at 16, and now it's back up above 50. But when you see stocks that are distressed like this, especially when they're decent companies, you can get some great opportunities. In the past, whenever buying a pullback on Dollar General was always a really good move to do. So, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at another one that I really like. We're going to take a look at Halliburton. So this is one that is working on breaking its new 52-week high. Okay, and I always like those. Take a look. Actually did break it. Okay, so it broke the 52-week high, and very strong trend right here. Hit the 52, couldn't make it, and now it's trying it again. And so if we break through here, I'm really looking at a buy trade right here. It broke through, but I'm looking maybe for some consolidation and for this level to stick. So it tried it. It's tried so many times. So it tried over here, but then if you look recently, we had 1, 2, 3, and the bears just can't push it down. The bears cannot push that thing down. And so if it pops up, it means the bears are going to get beat. And so I'm looking at waiting for this to close above this level for some consolidation to happen and then to get into the trade. And I'll probably take just a small piece right here on the close above this level. Okay, so we got Robert. Robert wants to take a look at PLTR. See, Robert. Palantir. All right. Really nice performance. Really nice performance, man. So before that, we had a pretty big down move, but right now we're looking pretty good. So we got big, strong move up, pull back, next move up, and now we got a breakout of this level here. So we're consolidating. So I would look for this consolidation move. If it breaks out of the top, maybe draw another line like this. If it breaks out the top of that, I would be looking at buying that, right? Watch for that consolidation to hold. If it does, look for it to buy. Doesn't mean buy it right now. Sometimes, a lot of times, people will watch this and I'll say, I'm looking for this to break out, and then they buy it. So yeah, I'm saying that, but don't buy it. You know, there's also this, there's a triangle here. So we could easily come back down to the bottom of the triangle, be here for a while, and get a really good break. And I do like the trades that are winding longer, right? Like I just showed you that if we go back to that Tesla trade again that I started with, that Tesla trade has been winding up for a while. And Tesla is such a strong company. When it breaks out, it'll really break. And we look at this one. It was winding up for a long time. And then when it finally broke out, it was at $9, went all the way up to 20. It doubled, right? You know, if you don't have a lot, you know, one of the things that one of the strategies that I used initially to help me get funding for trading was I would just buy something that I thought was going to break out, right? So I would find something like this, and this is really how I got started, is I would find something like this and I would just put a few dollars in because I didn't have a lot of money. So I just put, you know, $50 in, $100 in, and just keep building that position. And then when it finally broke out, you know, I would so we got May from 22 all the way from May to 20. And this takes time. It takes a lot of patience, but I would dollar cost every single week. I would put money in, right? And so you're doing that for an entire year, right? And it's just, you got such a big position. And when that thing finally breaks and goes from here, you know, this actually went from 7 to 20, you double your money. You get time to build that up. You know, you build while all this is going on, you know, all of this is happening in here. You're growing your capital, and then when it takes off, you make a really big gain. Now, obviously there's some risk in that, because if it goes to zero, then you lose everything, or if it never bounces, then it's really bad. But it's a great opportunity if you do it right. Okay, and I'm going to do one more here, and that's Tempest Therapeutics. Thanks, Jay. Wow. Okay, so this thing just went from 25 cents up to $9.50. So I guess my big question to Jay is, did you have 25,000 shares at 25 cents? Or 100,000 shares? 100, good. Yeah. You could have bought 100 shares at a quarter and sold, made a lot of money, you know, but at $4 right now, this is, there's no real predictability here. I can't really say. I would probably sell if you got in at 4 and it's 6 right. I mean, listen, what I would do doesn't mean what you would do. I'd probably sell my $2 and then start looking at decent stocks. Not saying that's not decent, but something that you can make good, predictable predictions about, and stuff that follows clear technical analysis guidelines. So I don't really know. There's something going on with this for this type of price action. I don't know, some news or something like that happened. But I mean, if for a company that's trading at 25 cents, I'm going to assume that they're not making any money, but there's like a talk that they could make some money someday. And because of that, it's jumping all in the hype. So yeah. Okay, well, let's see here. What else was I looking at? It looked pretty good. I think I'm going to go take a look at Apple. And let's take a look at Apple. Apple's another great one to trade because it's very clean and it has some great moves. Look at this move from December 22, from 127 up to 197. It's a great move. And so very similar to what we saw in Tesla, right? And I'm going to use my pen because I got a pen now. Look, we got trend line and we got a wedge, right? So if it's just had another update today. So if it breaks out, look for this thing to go and make some new highs, right? So that it takes some patience to wait for those type of setups, but really could be a great setup here on Apple. And you want to try to find those good price patterns. I think that this is just a great trade opportunity, great setup happening. Depending on what happens in the market, I mean, it's always, the market can always do crazy things. That's why we always manage our risk. Yeah, and I don't know, I did Bob already, so I'm not sure if you missed that part. If you didn't, David's going to drop that recording so people can watch that later on, I think. So for scanners, what I do is I use FinViz. And then I also use a private scanner that is really good as well. FinViz for fundamentals, and then I have some other scanners that help with analyzing the underlying options on stocks to help